A part of the reason why Stranger Things went on to become a cultural phenomenon is because of the quality of Season 1. And the reason why Season 1 was top tier is because of how real everything felt. A small town where nothing happens, the environmental realism of the frames, the observational camera angles, and most importantly, the relatability of its characters. And although a lot of these characters don't really get proper character development as the story progresses, in my opinion, there is one character that sticks out like a sore thumb in the medley of failed character arcs within the storyline. And that is, well, you guys guessed it too, Jonathan Byers. You see, Jonathan Byers started off on a strong foot. In fact, I will go as far as to say that he is one of the best written characters in the first season.
I should have been there for him.
He has strong agency. He doesn't go where the wind flows, but rather, he makes compelling decisions by himself.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
I'll be fine. Hey, well.
He tries to be rational whenever possible, but under skepticism, he breaks his own beliefs and forces him to follow his intuition.
She said, that's not Will's body, that he's alive.
The narrative doesn't wait for him to catch up to it, but in fact, he is one of the characters who drives it. And that's what makes Season 1 Jonathan so good.
Are you serious?
What? You want to find this thing?
He is by definition a character created from the circumstances in which Season 1 is set. The nature of the story allowed his character to thrive in it. In one of my videos, I talked about how Season 1 was the most realistic of them all, and Jonathan's character traits being observational, emotional, protective, and a social outcast was well and truly the perfect package for this documentary style of storytelling. But what makes him great in most of Season 1 and 2 is essentially what causes his downfall as the storyline approaches a bigger picture. There's a reason why you heard people say stuff like, what does he even do? Or that he's the most boring character, he is reactive, he doesn't even fit into the friend group. Comments that contradicts the OG Jonathan Byers. And that's mainly because of the paradoxical writing here. You see, Jonathan Byers is what you would call a restrained character. This is a teenager from a broken home forced to work at a young age while his peers enjoy school life. He is lonely, he is tired, struggling from his responsibilities, and because of his social withdrawal, he's even got flaws that are explored by the story. But all of this makes him a sensible, relatable character under the story's realism. But you gotta emphasize the word realistic a couple of times here, because Jonathan's strengths are all passive by definition.
Cynthia, this is Joyce, Lonnie's ex.
He's not really an in-your-face character at all.
Bitch!
Mom,
What?
you have to stay calm.
The story proves that he is compelling because he is highly observant, absorbs emotions, carries emotional weight, and understands the world better than a lot of his peers.
Who they thought were so depressing, but now, hey, they get it.
But these are internal strengths that are often associated with slower-paced, philosophical type of storytelling.
Because you were so bad at hammering.
And in case you didn't pay attention, Stranger Things stops being that by the beginning of Season 3.
Nancy!
Sorry.
The whole narrative turns into something bigger. There are more characters that are introduced, and most importantly, the goals of these characters align in the same direction. So here we have a grounded realist of a character who is completely out of place as a narrative tool in a show that is turning into a spectacle by every passing episode. And I think there's a scene in this season that makes so much sense as to what type of a character Jonathan Byers is.
I don't live in a two-story house on Maple Street. My dad doesn't earn six figures. Hell, he isn't even around. Yeah, the real world sucks. I deal with it like the rest of us.
This is exactly what his character is about. He is never a character who demands attention. And because of the style in which the first two seasons were written, he had agency in it as a character observing the world and trying to rationalize it from a distance. And that's why you can't have this character do something that Steve Harrington does. He's not a fighter, he's not a hero, and when it comes to being a comic relief, it doesn't suit him either. But that's now the whole show. It practically turns into a series that rewards only the active characters, characters with external motivations, characters who can create conflict, and people who can deliver catchy lines of dialogue while having incredible camera presence. And unfortunately, Jonathan Byers is none of this. His role gets vastly overshadowed by the other characters who not only enter his lane, but they do so by removing agency from him. And that's how we reach Season 4. Now, Season 4 is where Jonathan's character completely becomes the passenger. And most of the comments that showed displeasure to his character, well, they're also derived from this season.
Wait. What? What's going on?
Season 4 starts off with a different version of Jonathan. Instead of the observative realist from Season 1 and 2, the writers insist that this Jonathan is avoidant, running away from his responsibilities, and above all, he is paired up with the comic relief of this season. And although a lot of these traits make perfect sense from the kind of life that he lived, nothing wrong with it, but his character becomes more and more aloof from the core story. He is emotionally distant from his love interest, so his character can't bounce off of that. His brother is all grown up now, and he doesn't feel like he has that connection with him anymore. And his mom is on a separate mission herself, which leaves him as a part of a group that doesn't really have a lot of history. Don't get me wrong, much love for Argyle, but Jonathan Byers in this role doesn't feel like it would suit his natural self. It feels like a character who is completely removed from being an active part of a story. Instead of being that active observer, he is as reactive as it gets. And that is why this scene at the very end of Season 4 reminded us of who he is as a character.
Do you remember that time you told me you had a Lego stuck up your nose?
What?
Yeah, like it was like a construction guy. You'd call him Larry.
I kid you not, of all the emotional scenes that we get in this season, this one's right up there as the perfect example of letting your characters do what they do best.
I feel like you used to come to me more for help.
Just look at how good Charlie Heaton's acting is in this scene.
Now it feels like you don't do that anymore. Not like before. Absolutely nothing that will ever change that.
Notice how subtle the eye movements are, suggesting that he knows exactly what's happening, and he'll be there for his brother no matter what. And this is Jonathan Byers.
It's gonna be okay.
And it's kind of annoying that this is the only scene in this whole season where we get to see him as his natural self. But then you would think that this would change in the final season, because of course it has to, right? Right? And imagine my surprise when they run the same program on Jonathan in the final season as well. And because of how the writers refuse to kill any of the main characters, it is annoyingly comprehensible how many of these character narratives ends up in limbo, where they're just there for decoration rather than actively driving the story forward. And in the midst of this mess, Jonathan's character gets involved in the love triangle once again.
Job for good old Steve Harrington. I actually think this might be a better job for Jonathan Byers.
And this is the point where you ask, are we doing this again?
I think you'll find it quite
Really?
engaging.
I feel like there were different ways of using him in the storyline than just being that insecure boyfriend. I know the way his character arc is designed, he probably does end up breaking up with Nancy, but why did they not pair him up with his own family? I mean, after this scene, which in my opinion is infinitely better than whatever this ends up being, you would think that Jonathan would spend time with his own brother. After all, Will is still one of the key characters in Season 5, so it would make sense for Jonathan to be that emotional support for him. But then again, this is what happens when you step on people's toes. You have too many characters who are basically doing the same thing, and like a stage play, you hang around in the background until the light shines on you, and then you do your thing, and then you blend into the background to never be spoken of again. That's basically what happens. And when you put his character under the spotlight,
That this would somehow...
lo and behold, he gives you a proper performance.
So what do you say? Do you accept my proposal?
It's not surprising that some of the best emotional moments from the whole show involves characters like Jonathan.
The show's over. What?
Even while he's playing second fiddle, even when he's in the passenger seat, quite literally at times, Given the opportunity, his acting is captivating.
It's gonna be okay.
But for me, the show left him in the dust a long time ago. He was part of the main cast with a compelling character arc in a story that was told like a documentary. It had a slice of realism to it. And under those circumstances, a restrained character like Jonathan made the most sense. But then Stranger Things moved to a different lane. It became less realistic and more spectacular, and therefore the character motivations also changed because of it. And in this new storyline, there was quite frankly no room for a character like Jonathan. Characters like Steve and Robin were playing the roles that would otherwise suit the Jonathan archetype. And you combine that with the hesitation to kill some of these characters, you get the perfect storm. A situation where you don't know what to do with one of the best characters that you wrote, while trying to make the story into something bigger than it was always gonna be. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.